I got to tell you about this 9/11. When I was on the air, and here I am in New York, I mean, you could smell this stuff. It was wild. And somebody asked me, Flight 93. I said, 93? What the hell is that? Because I didn't even know the numbers. Shanksville. I said, what the hell's Shanksville? What are you talking about? So the plane, remember this, it was Let's Roll. It was whatever his name was. Anyway, so I'm looking and I said, just a minute, let me see. I said, look for the pictures. So I look, I said, is there a plane crash? I said, I don't see it. I saw this little divot. I saw a little fire truck. I saw some steam, guy in a white. I said, is that it? I said, where's the plane? I saw like Hervé Villachez, where's the plane? And they said, what are you getting at? I'll never forget this. Jimmy, they said, what are you getting at? I said, the truth. I said, where's the plane? And I realized, holy shit, it's happening. It's true. Nobody cares. All the people who were there. Then it's like Operation Northwoods. Ooh, cue the Robert Klein. Ooh, I mean, just, and one thing after another. And I'm walking out into traffic. Somebody, aren't you? And I sound like Mel Gibson. And you must have gone to, what was the moment? Did you have a red pill moment? Did you have that, oh my God, it's true moment? Or was it one collective sentience your whole life?
Well, it was when I realized the Building 7 happened and that they said it had fallen down 20 on the news reports. BBC said it's already exploded. And then I'm like, well, that's not how buildings fall. That's how buildings are imploded. It's a controlled demolition. It's
What are you, an expert? What are you, an expert?
And then I saw a videotape of firemen, which of course the video has been suppressed, of the firemen saying, "Hey, back up, we're about to pull it." Oh, the guy who owned the building said they pulled it.
Silverstein.
That's Silverstein. He said, yeah, we made the decision to pull it. And then they try to pretend that it's like Bill Clinton. What's the definition of is? It's like, well, what's the definition of pull it? We all know what the definition is. And so, yeah, that was the moment for me. And I'm like, oh, it didn't happen the way they said it happened. And it's like, who are you going to believe, the government or your lying eyes? And of course, George Bush wouldn't testify under oath, and he would only do it in secret, and he would only testify if he had Dick Cheney next to him. And now the people who wrote the 9/11 report, most of them disavow it anyway, and it's been proven that the government lied to them. So that was the moment for me when I realized that
was mine too.
Building
and
7
and Zelikow and all these others, and they were, and the best part is, who was it? Norman Mineta? He says, "Sir, they're moving in. Stand on order." And Cheney said, "No, they're moving in. They're coming at us. Should I shoot them down? This is Killer Cheney. This is Mad Dog. This is Torquemada. This is Cerberus. The she. I mean, he said, nah. Wait a minute." And did you also know later on that it just so happened on the day of 9/11 there were like 43, 34, whatever drills on hijacking. And guess where the planes were? They were doing hijacking drills. Now get the joke of this. You could write this. You pick up the phone and say, there's a hijacking. And you say, Jimmy, I know it's the drill. No, it's a real hijacking. Look, very nice try, Dor, but you're not going to fool me. I understand. No, it's a real, keep it up. So on the days that all of the planes were unavailable, and by the way, one more thing about Shanksville, there were no planes there. 8 miles away in New Baltimore and Indian Lake, that's where the debris was. And you know what somebody said? They said, that's where there were no engines and wheels and nothing, and beverage carts and magazines and people and luggage. And they said, well, the wind took a 6-ton titanium engine, or this was Pennsylvania, and they drill a lot, so the water, the ground's very powdery, so it just atomic.
It's just yeah. So again, whenever that's the tip off, whenever you're not allowed to question something, especially a government narrative, they're covering up stuff, and you're onto something. You're over the target, and of course. Nobody ever told people investigating the JFK assassination to stop, or the Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or RFK. Nobody ever told those people to shut up and that they're bad people or they're demonic because they're investigating the official narrative. But all of a sudden, here we are. If you did that with Seth Rich, if you did that with 9/11, if you do that with Charlie Kirk, you're some kind of evildoer and a bad person, and you lack character, and you're crazy, you're demonic, you're evil, you're satanic. And so that's obvious that there's a cover up happening, and you should keep going.